everybody, it's Romania Black, and we're on episode 19 of To Be Hero X, and Crunchyroll this evening has just decided to be prejudiced. Okay, so last week, on accident, I was in haste with episode 18. I was recording it right before I left for my vacation, which has been a week, and I've been very eager to come back to this episode after last week and just being like, wow, could you leave us on such a cliffhanger? And so in my haste to record, as that reaction was going on, I realized, I was like, this is not Chinese. And so right before I started the discussion, I was like, I watch the Japanese dub. And I've not done that. I've been watching the Mandarin sub for the entire time until episode 18, and I watched the Japanese dub, which, for the record, it sounds great. And so I went tonight to be like, okay, and I did go back and watch the Chinese sub. The subtitles they were not very different between the Japanese dub and the Chinese sub. They were not very different. So the context was not lost there. But I went back and watched the Chinese sub for episode 18. And tonight I got on Crunchyroll to pull up the Chinese sub, and it won't let me do it. It keeps saying this video is not available. It will let me pull up the Japanese sub, though. So I guess that's what we're going to do, because I watched the last episode in it. I guess that's what I'm going to do. And I don't know why Crunchyroll is being weird. It was weird earlier today when I was watching another episode of something else, and I was like, get your shit together, Crunchyroll. You make enough money. You should be able to. But anyway, so we're on episode 19. We're now, hopefully, finally, maybe getting to the alien spaceship and getting more answers. But the last couple of episodes have been building up little Johnny's backstory, Big Johnny's backstory, stuff with Ghostblade, with Vortex, with Mickey is evil. Like, everything is coming to a head. And maybe we'll see Cyan and Queen this episode. Who knows? But anyway, so I've gotten to look at the comments for episodes 15 and 16 over on YouTube, and episode 17 over on Patreon. As I'm recording this, I've not seen the comments for episodes 17 and 18 yet. I'll get to that. But with Small Screen Computer for episode 15 says the briefing for Shang on the phone says Shang, age 34, 180 centimeters. Mission details, whistleblower. Deadline, eliminate as quickly as possible at all costs. The mission docs will be destroyed after 5. These are the highlights, as the other texts aren't labeled in Chinese. So that's what Ghostblade got on his phone. So basically, somehow, Shang was notified as a whistleblower within Mighty Glory. And at the time, Mr. Shang was in charge of Mighty Glory, so he was not happy about that, and Shang had to go. Not putting a lot of faith in Mr. Shang. He seems pretty out of it at this point. The fact that he was ordering people to murder each other, not surprised at the slightest, but that's intriguing. And then Daewoo 3YY for episode 17 says, since you are curious, the given name has many meanings, most of them referring to birth, growth, or living and life. Very fitting for Shang, a hero with healing powers. Love that. So yeah, Shang, it's been like my most popular Twitter post ever, is just me showing some panels of Shang from episode 17 and saying he can get it. Like, it's got like 600 likes. I'm like, but why? But well, it's Shang, of course why. So I'm kind of in all about it. But yeah, sure. Post the thirst traps and they will come. But yeah. So we're on episode 19. I was floored by last week's episode. I loved it. I love how villainous Mickey is, and now Liu is in on this. He's the leader of the Spotlight organization, maybe. Things are getting bonkers, and we got 5 episodes left of this season, so I'm getting pretty excited, if you couldn't tell. So with that being said, we're not going to waste any more time. If you've been enjoying the Chinese dub, I apologize, or the Chinese sub. I'm going to be watching this in the Japanese sub. I really enjoyed it last week. We're going to do it this week. And I'm going to try to go back next week to the Chinese dub, because I do like the original voices. But as far as we know, it's potentially going to be the same characters we've been with. So I know they're voice actors and everything. But Mickey sounded really good in the Japanese sub, by the way. The Japanese dub, by the way. So we're just going to go with it. But thank you all so much for watching with me. I hope you enjoy this reaction and discussion. We are going to start To Be Hero X episode 19. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1. And I'll see you all on the other side. Oh my God. Oh! 41, because I was like, there's no sign of if any of these heroes, other than Isol, because we saw him shoot Moon, are still around. At the end, I was like, oh my god, they could all die. They could all freaking die. For some reason, I thought little Johnny was still around in year 41, but I don't know why I think that. I don't know what episode would have led me to believe that. But obviously, Isol's still around. Only the good die young. It's like, so... Holy shit, that's the part that's the scary thing. I went back and rewatched episode 1 before I came back for this discussion because I was like, I need some clues, and they're not there. One thing that is there is the Treeman Foundation, which Mr. Sheng has led, and frickin' Nice, who's terrifying. I'm like, I'm so glad that Lin Ling broke away from that. I'm so glad he's the commoner and not Nice, because like Nice had to go. Nice had to go. Mickey needs to go. Uncle Rock needs to go. We need a clean sweep. We need a clean sweep of everything. I'm like, oh my god. So yeah, White Coon, where do we start? White Coon, where do we start? So I guess we should, like, in the year 41, okay, so in the year 41, there are still, like, attacks by the Spotlight organization, because that is highlighted in episode 1, that there's still, like, the stuff that Enlightener's, the boss of Lin Ling, that's working with Enlightener is using, that is all framed as being part of the frequent attacks from the Spotlight organization. So in the 2 years to come, since whatever's happening here, those get more frequent. So what that tells me is that frickin' Mickey is still around. Mickey and Liu potentially are still around. So there's that, to go on with it. And then obviously Lin Ling is still with the Treeman Foundation, and along with Miss J, but he is now the commoner. And Nice is officially quote unquote dead. So there's that. So Nice is no more. The commoner is officially there because Nice had committed suicide in episode 1. You know what? With my theories of what I think Nice is, and then the one guy that replaced Nice, I can see why. He basically shows up like a freaking Pokemon, and he's like, Nice! It was a cross between Pokemon and in Wreck-It Ralph, where he's like, I'm gonna wreck it! Like, it just, if you've ever seen Wreck-It Ralph, it's one of my favorite Disney movies. I love it. It's so creative and fun and nostalgic, but like the characters are from a video game, and they have to, it's kind of like Toy Story. They know, they're self-aware that they're in the video game, but they have to say their catchphrases. They're like bound by eternal divine powers to say it. And so like, I'm gonna wreck it. So it's like, Nice is like, nice. Like, yeah, he's obligated to say it because of the hero that he is. And he's a freaking toy mascot that Mr. Sheng has created. Let's put Nice over here. We're gonna have some theories about Nice, but they're gonna come at the end of the episode. I'm gonna put that in quotation marks. I have theories about Nice that will probably be proven wrong in one episode. But we're going to have them for now, and then we're going to go from there. The only thing I have in the Calamity Corner is down here, and it's with one particular character. You probably know who that character is, and we're going to put them down here in the little prison cell. They're holding on to little bars. We're going to put them down there. We're going to get back to them. But yeah, so we're backtracking from the year 41 to the year 39. That's where we are. So in these 2 years... right now, we have no freaking clue what happens. We know some things that happen. We know the main thing that happens is that Nice survives this whole ordeal, which raises a bunch of questions for me that we're going to ask here by the end of this episode. And Nice meets Moon, and that whole business gets going. But also, I want to go back and think. So, Nice technically came to being, they called him the hero Nice, and he had been known, they were like, oh, it's the hero Nice. So he's been around for more than the 2 years. I think he came around in year 38. That's when Nice came to be. So I had this theory that the guys that were being fused into like the OG Nice, because I wasn't sure of the timeline. Like they were the OG Nice, and then the OG Nice gets like ransacked in this battle, and then the guys that audition become the new Nice, and then Lin Ling becomes like Nice version 3.0. But I don't think that that's the case at all. It feels like this Nice is around. So whatever these fusion guys are, we still have no freaking clue. No idea. Oh, I don't know. We're going to talk about that. I don't know what that means or what that is going to amount to. The fusion thing with Mr. Shang freaks me out, and we don't know exactly what to expect out of that. So who knows? But anyway, so Nice has been around for like a year, and he's supposedly like the hero commission. He's with Mr. Shang. They do know that. Ah, God, it's so satisfying when Lo Li punches him, and she's got that armor that defeats the trust value, so his perfect punch, she blocks it, and she's like, you punch like a bitch. And it's like, yes, girl, get it. I worry, though, because Nice is still around in the year 41. He just told the professor and No-No, that he was there to kill them all. So Lo Li did not hear that. Lo Li didn't hear it. So the only ones who heard it were No-No and the professor, which makes me worried that they have gigantic death flags on both of them, because otherwise they would be like, oh, this hero Nice came to kill all of us. I could see everybody not believing Lo Li because Lo Li didn't hear. I mean, Lo Li might have gone off what if No tells her next episode, and she's like, Nice said he's going to kill all of us. I could see people not believing Lo Li because she's had this entire arc around her about people not taking her seriously because of her cuteness. So I could see that coming into play if that were the case. But basically, the only ones, No and the professor, are the only two that heard that Nice was there to kill them all. Which means we basically have like 3 people involved, like 4. We actually have like multiple groups involved in this stupid spaceship. So we're going to put the little ship right here that looks like a crow's head. Doesn't it look cute? We're going to put the little ship in the mountain. Isn't that adorable? Going to put that up there. This is the spaceship. This is where it's at. And we have 4 parties, at least, that have a stake in all this. So one party, for some reason, Mr. Shang has sent Nice to kill them all. He has sent Nice to kill them all. Am I surprised that Mr. Shang sent Nice to kill them all? No, because Mr. Shang sent Ghostblade to kill little Johnny's dad. So Mr. Shang is like a homicidal CEO that's having everybody kill everybody. So I'm not surprised about that at all. And Mr. Shang seems like he's not interested in what any of them have to say anymore. He gives 0 Fs. So yeah, he sent Nice to do that. He doesn't seem to care about whatever's here. He just wants everybody out of the picture. And they're all conveniently located in this place that has no cell signal. So perfect spot to get the bodies out of the way. Let's go. So there's that. Then we're going to bring old Uncle Rock. We're going to bring Uncle Rock up here, because he's going to be part of this, because of course he's going to be part of this, and his mission. Then, over here, we have frickin' Mickey coming in the rear, as per usual, and he knew all. Mickey knows that shit's about to be going down like it is in episode 19. He knew. He was like, it's going to be a big old circus. It's going to be a big old mess. So you know what? We're going to take our time. We're going to let them do all this junk and have their little fun, and people might die, whatever. And then in the last minute, we're going to have Queen. We're going to have Queen show up. We're going to have her show up. She'll take care of this. We're going to have her show up fashionably late. And oh, Lucky Cyan went with her. You know, the thing we're going to talk about Lucky Cyan going with her, because that's interesting. But Lucky Cyan went with her. I feel like that's only going to help Queen, because she gets the luck, maybe at the expense of everybody else. We're going to talk about it. But yeah, they're going to show up at the remnants of all this, and they're friends with little Johnny. So they're going to want to help little Johnny and Big Johnny in all of this as well. So that's going to be a thing. That's going to be a thing. We don't know if the Queen and Lucky Cyan are around during the present arc. The only ones we know of are Nice and Isol. So that's going to be a thing. We're going to put Isol on here for the record. And then meanwhile, here's another group, the Professor Lo. He wants to get this material from the spaceship and got the commission's permission to investigate. And he brought with him Ghostblade, who is technically technically Ghostblade is from Up with Uncle Rock, but probably not after this mission. I don't think after this mission Ghostblade's going to be working for Uncle Rock, which raises some concerns. So we're going to be putting Ghostblade on here. So Ghostblade was working for Mr. Rock, but he was assigned alongside the professor. And then there's also Big Johnny and Little Johnny, who's with FOMO. So that's FOMO's stake in all this, is Big Johnny and Little Johnny. They're just like, yeah, I guess, like, go with them and see what happens. Oh, my God. And so that's their stake. I guess that's the fifth party. And then we also have Lo Lee and No-No that are with them, too. And Lo Lee has the armor that is made from the space materials that counterbalances the trust value, which is connected to Big Johnny, because Big Johnny was able to do the same thing for Vortex and counterbalance his powers. So lots of stuff going on. Lots of stuff going on. There's lots of stuff. And the commission's just like, I guess whatever happens, happens. We're going to talk about Uncle Rock's involvement in all this, but it's a little too soon for that. So I'm going to pull up the screenshots to go alongside this. Oh my God. But this is just chaos here in 3, 2, 1. And we start out the chaos with this whole thing with Little Johnny and Big Johnny. And Little Johnny having this hallucination about what has led to his death. What has led to these hallucinations is seeing all of these slash marks that Ghostblade left behind from DJ Shindig's battle that reminded him of the night that his dad died. That's what triggered that memory and made him think back to that. Now, knowing Shang's power of healing, seeing his blood cause the things to grow is the most tragic, heartbreaking thing. I was like, damn it. This show is just like beating you to death with it, right? The thing that gets me is that Little Johnny is so close to piecing it together, but he just can't see that Ghostblade would be the one that killed his dad. He can't possibly, and I think that the reason Little Johnny can't think of that is because Ghostblade is standing right in front of him acting like nothing's wrong. And what Little Johnny doesn't understand, that we the audience understands, is that Ghostblade has affective disorder, and so he doesn't feel it. He doesn't feel that emotion. He doesn't care. He's just like, yeah, I killed your dad. The only person he has any affection or care for is his daughter No-No. That's it. That's the only person he cares about. And no one else in the world he doesn't give a shit. So it's like, and it's not because he doesn't want to. I mean, he doesn't, but he also has the affective disorder. So Little Johnny would probably be like, well, nobody in their right mind would sit across me in a car knowing that he killed my father and have a straight face. I feel like the worst betrayal would be if he realizes that Ghostblade is the killer. He's so close to figuring it out. He has all but figured it out. When he looked at the slashes on the tree and Professor Lowe was like, well, it's a good thing Ghostblade was here to save us, I was like, put 2 and 2 together. But I understand why he doesn't, because why would you think this top hero, I mean, he's asked if every other hero could have done it. He was even contemplating DJ Shindig being the murderer. And it's like, dude, DJ Shindig was in Ibiza when your dad died. Like, what are you talking about? Like, doing a rave out there, for all we know. But I think he's just so convinced that Ghostblade is a good person, and he sees some of himself in him, that there's no way that Ghostblade could be the man that murdered my dad, but he is. And I think there's a part of me that I want Little Johnny to eventually find out that Ghostblade is the murderer, but then there's another part of me that's like, that is going to destroy that man. That's going to destroy that man completely. And I don't know what to do about that. And then you have the idea of like, you have this situation where there's Professor Lowe who's involved in all this, but then you have No-No, whose dad is Ghostblade, who killed Little Johnny's dad, and if Little Johnny kills her dad, it's this cycle of patricide that's just like... And there were a lot of fathers in this series, and it really hit me this episode how many dads there are. Professor Lowe is Lowly's dad. Shang was Little Johnny's dad. Ghostblade is No-No's dad. Then you have Mr. Shang, who's Nice's dad, technically and literally, practically. And then you have Uncle Rock, who's basically a father figure to E-Soul. And then you have Lin Ling, who is... I guess Lin Ling doesn't have a father figure in all this, but everybody else does. And then you have Liu, who's the father to Queen. So, and then you had the man in the orphanage who was like a father figure to Lucky. Like, there's all these father figures. Lots of father figures. Fathers everywhere. And not lots of good ones either. The only real good one was Shang, and he's dead. So that's a fun time. Professor Lowe's not bad. He's okay. But just a lot. So he's just so close to finding out. And I really thought in this episode that Big Johnny was going to catch on, but he hasn't yet. I feel like Big Johnny's just kind of the fear has got him discombobulated. But Shang was like, Big Johnny, he said, protect him for me. The fact that Shang was like, come on. That makes me wonder if some of Shang's abilities were to communicate with Big Johnny, the alien species. But again, the way the trust value works, everyone has attributed Little Johnny as having these summoning powers to communicate with Big Johnny, and so thus he does, because of how the trust value works. But it's interesting that Shang is the one that told Big Johnny to watch over his son, and that led to this moment. But yeah, and then they both collapse, and then we didn't have the OP in this episode either. I was like, damn. And then they included the ED just to have that cut moment, and you're like, ugh. But yeah, so this episode is called Breaking the Balance, which is talking about breaking the balance of trust value, fear value, the balance of all the CEOs and companies working together. It's all falling apart. Bold move by Shang to send Nice to kill everybody. Did he really think Nice was that strong? What? And here's the other thing. I guess Lo Li is going to have to stop Nice. But then what is No-No and the professor going to do about hearing that he was there to kill everybody? I guess, honestly, the commission, I guess Mr. Shang could make the argument being like, you believe these people? Are you kidding? I think that Professor Lowe has the biggest death flags upon him. He has no powers. He has no superpowers. I mean, No-No does not either, so No-No has a death flag on her. But if she dies, Ghostblade will go absolutely ballistic and kill them all. So I don't know what's going to happen there. But at least Lo Li... I don't want to say Lo Li wouldn't protect her father or would protect No-No over her father. But I feel like here's what I think is going to happen. I think the professor's going to die. I think he has big death flags, and I think it's going to be... They keep on setting stuff up with Lo Li and her dad, and we're going to talk about it later on in the episode a little bit. I'm going to point it out when we get there. But I think that he's going to die, and he was the one that mainly heard the thing that Nice said, and then Lo Li wasn't there to hear it. And No-No either will be overwrought with guilt, with grief throughout all this, that she'll forget what Nice said, which is a plot hole, but I could see it happening in this show. Or she's going to remember what Nice said, but when she tells everyone, the commission and stuff's like, what do you know? We don't believe you. Yeah, sure, Nice is going to kill everybody. The guy that has the Pokemon phrase. Okay. Like, they're not going to believe her. So I think it's going to be one of those two scenarios, but I don't know. But Professor Lowe, he has no way of defending himself, and Lo Li can't protect No-No and her dad at the same time. Unless she's really good. So, I don't know. There are death flags on No-No and Professor Lowe, and I don't like it. I'm like, if you give us Doomed Yuri show, you gave us Yuri. If you give us Doomed Yuri, I'm gonna be mad. And then, like, all of the Nice and Rec fans are like, we had Doomed Yowie, now you get it too. And I'm like, no! I can't do it! So, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, so this episode's called Breaking the Balance. Can we talk about the drip? Can we talk about the drip? The black and yellow car, the black suitcase, her outfit. Girl, I want to cosplay as her so badly, but I would be drenched in sweat. Like, her outfit, she looks like a witch. I love it. I love the big, like, pilgrimy witch hat with the brimmed cap. I love the big cape. I love the ruffles. Girl, here's the thing. If she were a villain... She already has the look. I know she's supposed to be a hero, and when she's in her, like, hero form, she's queen. This is a villain look. This is, like, if you told me that her dad was the leader of a villainous organization, which he is, I would believe you, because she has the drip of a villain. I don't think she realizes it, but she really does. Like, she looks like a witch. And maybe that's going to be turned against her. I don't know. Maybe she's going to become a villain by the end of this season. I don't know. She's got the look for it. But I like Queen a lot. I love her fashion. Everything's great about it. So Mickey has sent her off on a vacation, which they're like, is it just you? And at first she's like, you know what? It's not going to be just me. Now the question is, did Mickey anticipate Queen going on the vacation by herself, or did he anticipate she would call Lucky to go with her? Did he anticipate that? Was he sending her in the fray knowing that she could potentially get hurt? That seems like something Mickey would do. But what was the plan there? I don't think, judging by how she talks here in this conversation, I don't think Mickey planned for Lucky to go with her. I really don't. Now, when this left off, these guys were going on their little happy vacay, and then they saw Big Johnny. So they saw Big Johnny here. We're going to put him there. Big Johnny was coming out of the mountainside. So something has happened that has caused Big Johnny to not only get free, because remember he was captured and Little Johnny was trying to free him. So he gets free and becomes huge. That happened. And so this is when Queen and Lucky Cyan were on their way towards the mountains. So we're going to get back to that, presumably, very soon. Hopefully in the next episode. If they go to a different arc, I will scream. I need resolution with all of this. I need resolution with all this before we do that. Love Lucky's leggings. Side tangent. This is not for the Calamity Corner. This is not anything against the show. This is me kind of complaining to the fandom for a hot second. Hear me out. I have had several people in the comments tell me that there's a lot of hate towards Lo Lee, but not Lucky Cyan. And I'm like, but how? I'm like, I honestly, like, again, I'm just going to get into some feminism stuff here, so if that's not your bag, I'm sorry, but hear me out. There is a large debate that has been years upon years of psychological studies, research, all this. You can go look it up. But there is a constant stigma against women who are loud and abrasive because it is determined that they are not, staying in line and being mindful and demure. And, it's kind of the argument that has been centered around psychology between genders of when women are abrasive and ambitious and go-getting, they're sometimes called a bitch. But then when a guy does it, it's, they're successful and ambitious, and that's just the norm. And women are expected to be more submissive and quiet. And so, am I saying that some of the fandom might be a little bit sexist because they're against Lo Lee because she talks loud and stands up for herself and is aggressive, but they're not that way towards Lucky because she's more demure and submissive and quiet? What? I don't know, but it seems a little sexist. Seems a little sexist, fandom. And that's not everybody in the fandom. A lot of people complain about it. They're like, yeah, there are pockets of the fandom that don't like Lo Lee because of X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, she literally is cool, has a really cool, robo armor outfit, has a great relationship with No-No, has this cool, compelling storyline. You're liking her over Lucky Cyan? Okay, that's a choice. But Lucky Cyan's fine. I like Lucky. She's great. Do I find her, more compelling than Lo Lee? No. But that's just my opinion. It just comes across a certain way. And I'm like, okay, I'm looking at you, fandom. Looking at you a little bit. But I do like Lucky's apartment. It's really cool. I love the music setup. Love that for her. There is a yearning in Queen's face right there where Queen's like, I really want you to come with me on this journey. Do I think Queen might have a little bit of a crush on Lucky Cyan? I do. Do I think that Lucky Cyan has a crush back on Queen? I don't think so. I think it's very one-sided. When she was like, we can ask Little Johnny to come too. I was like, third wheel, friend-zoned instantly. But then Queen's like, well, Little Johnny's on a mission, so it's just going to be the two of us. And she's like, oh, okay. So yeah, I do like Lucky's outfit, though. It's really nice. She's like, I worry missing the opportunity to become X twice would be a huge shock to you. Yeah, that seems foreshadowing in itself, that Queen is supposed to be going on this mission. Did Mickey send her on this mission with the idea that she might get injured and not be able to fight against X for the second time? And it might push her off the deep end? Maybe. Possibly. We'll see. We'll see where that goes. I mean, it didn't work with Boa, but it might with Queen. So yeah, meanwhile, on the secret mission, I just feel for little Johnny. I really feel for him. It's been 17 years. And here's the thing. Grief does not take a holiday. Grief does not just stop. I think little Johnny's story is a really good example of how grief is handled, and the series does a really good job with it, because little Johnny's character, it's been 17 years, and I think a lot of people would normally say, well, you shouldn't be feeling this way about your dad's death. It's been so long. No, grief has moments where it just springs up, and someone's death can really hit you even if it's been a decade or 20 years or 40 years. Like, the grief doesn't work in a structured format. It just happens. And so for little Johnny to be so affected by his dad, one, shows how much he loved him, but two, is a really good example of how grief works. And I like that the series kind of takes that approach. One thing that is very scary, though, with little Johnny is that little Johnny, after all these years, he still feels very guilty for not being able to save his dad the night that he died. And as Professor Lowe is explaining that what caused it was DJ Shindig, instead of his good vibes coming out, it did the reverse and made everybody sad. The part that's scary is that little Johnny was like, immediately, like, didn't even think about it. He was like, could DJ Shindig have been the murderer? And I was like, dude, DJ Shindig was not even around. No, was not. 'Twas not. That is like the most baseless claim. But he's so desperate to find someone to latch onto that he can scapegoat as the killer of his father. He can't do it with Vortex, so now he's like, well, what if it was DJ Shindig? And the irony of all ironies is that the man he should be focused on, he's been around the entire time. He's been around for the whole arc, and that's the one person he's not looking at that is the answer to his questions. Because, yeah, then he looks back, he's like, could it have been him that day? I'm like, well, by him, if you mean Ghostblade, yes. But that's not the person he goes towards. Also, Professor Lowe knows too much. At this point in the episode, I was like, oh, you know about the Spotlight organization. You know DJ Shindig is secretly connected to it. Wow, those are some coincidences. You know a lot, sir. Enough that you have a death flag on you. And here's again, kind of the genius of the show is that, yes, he tells little Johnny this about the Spotlight organization, but little Johnny is in a depressed, manic state, so the odds of him remembering this conversation are not high, and we, the audience, are like, you're being given the answers. The professor knows what's up, and it's just, oh my God. Because he's like, Spotlight organization, he's like, there's some information the commission hasn't released to the public yet. We focus our efforts on researching how to control and even suppress fear. I thought when they were zooming in this moment that it was going to reveal there was like a camera up in the tent watching and taking notes, and they saw Professor Lowe explaining all this and they're like, he's got to go. Like, man has a death flag. That much is clear. They aspire to turn fear into a weapon more powerful than trust. So the commission and I are so concerned about this survey mission is the secretary surrounding it is because, and the secrecy is because of this. So Professor Lowe basically states that the Spotlight organization is trying to turn fear into a weapon, which they are. They very much are. And that can be more powerful than trust, which they very much are. 100%. Absolutely. And so I'm like, oh, you know a lot, sir. You know a lot. And I love that they have a whiteboard coon. Just so you all are aware, they have a whiteboard coon. Let me go back up a little bit. Show you all him in his fine glory. I was going to be like, where is he at? He was there. Yeah, he helps little Johnny to his feet. And when he gets up there, it's like there's been some information linked. But thankfully, and then they come out into the sunlight. They're like, thankfully, Ghostblade was there. And he wasn't affected by the depression. Well, no, he was. He was. He just, his affective disorder. This part is really tragic, too. When the professor's like, deep down, he's a truly cold, emotionless person. The part that's so frustrating is that, no, he has a neurodivergency. That's why he appears to be cold and emotionless, but he's really just got affective disorder. And they're confusing his disability with him being heartless. And I'm like, that's insane. But that's how they think because Ghostblade doesn't speak up for himself. Like, that's why I want to give him a pad of paper and be like, can you explain to them that they're wrong? Can you please do that? But he doesn't care, so he just lets it go. I think at this point, Nono understands that Ghostblade is her dad, but she doesn't want to let on because she doesn't want to make him feel awkward. But instead, she's like trying to connect with him. And I like that Ghostblade right now is like, he's so concerned about her being near him and he's flustered. He doesn't know what to do, that he's just smacking the carrots with the knife. And she's like, no, this is how you do it. He knew how to cook. He knew what to do. He was just really nervous in that moment. And so he just wasn't doing it right in her eyes. But he lets her show him. They really do look so alike. How nobody is looking at the fact they look so similar and going, wow, they look really similar. Don't know. She's like, how did you live on your own all these years? Girl, there are guys that live off popcorn and chicken nuggets. I know them. And so, yeah, no, there's lots of people that survive just on bare skills, the bare basics. Like, yeah, you know. And then this part here where we see the slashes and little Johnny's like, was I overthinking it? No, you're not thinking enough. You really, if you thought a little bit harder, you would put together that it was Ghostblade. So then the professor gets little Johnny to come look at the schemats of the spaceship, and immediately Ghostblade is able to like be perfect with this. And that's when Uncle Rock calls. I didn't recognize him at first because his voice is I'm used to the Chinese dub. So hearing his voice in Japanese. Will say this. I like the Japanese sub voice cast, except for Nice. I like Nice's Chinese dub voice so much better. It's just, I know the voice actor who plays him in the Japanese dub, and he sounds fine, but he doesn't sound intimidating to me. And then the Nice in the Chinese dub sounds a little more intimidating. But maybe it's supposed to sound creepy because it sounds all very like, hey, hi, friends. Like, that's what it sounds like. Maybe that's intentional. So, I don't know. Your performance last night wasn't bad, but I heard you were behaving a bit abnormally. He's like, well, there was fear involved. He's like, I'm calling to remind you there are many people following along on this mission. You have to keep hidden. It'll be a good environment to get it done. Seize the opportunity. Don't let tragedy strike another time. So, Uncle Rock, in his infinite wisdom, has sent Ghostblade. He has sent Ghostblade to kill little Johnny. And we'll talk about that more when they have their conversation together. Here's the thing, though. I mean, there were so many opportunities he could have killed little Johnny, but he's in front of a lot of people, so he's trying to make it secretive. And Uncle Rock's like, here's your chance. You're going to be in a secluded spaceship with no communication. Get it done. Which is crazy, but... And then when she's like, where are you going? And she chases after him, she looks. And she's like, did he leave behind a mess? No. And this is kind of the prime example. She thinks he's left behind a mess, but it's actually something beautiful. I'm like, that man, Ghostblade. I like Ghostblade because he is a flawed character. Like, he's a murderer, and I'm sure a lot of people don't like him because he's a murderer. But at the same time, there's some nuance to him and some depth to his character that even if he's not a great person, you kind of get where he's coming from. And I kind of feel sympathy for him. He's flawed. He's very flawed. And there's just things I wish he would do differently. But I do appreciate him as a character. So, yeah. So they go to where they're going where this is all at. I don't know who this person with the ponytail is over there. They look great. Just had to make a joke. Loli and No-No, anytime they're together, just give me this Yuri. I love it so much. But yeah, and then this part here where little Johnny is trying to catch Big Johnny and just Ghostblade just sitting there with the sweat drop. He's like, I hate my life so much. He's like, I could just throw this car off a cliff and be done with it. But he'd probably survive. And so then, yeah, this idea of Professor Lowe leading the charge as well, I was like, ominous, 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 ominous. Death flag, death flag, death flag. Also, you have the crew and little Johnny on one side, and you have No and Ghostblade on the other, and it's her and her dad. Y'all. So yeah, so they made it to the spaceship, which looks like, on the one hand, it looks like a beak, it looks like a fish mouth. It looks like kind of like a fish. It's kind of creepy. I don't like it. And little Johnny's like, I'm going to go find that weed. My good cannabis stash that I've hidden for 20 years. So yeah, Ghostblade's getting all his knives. This is the point though. I feel as if Ghostblade, he's been doing all of these things because they were his assignments. And he's like, I don't have emotions. I'm just going to be an assassin, whatever. But he's a father who has a child. And he's been spending the last couple episodes trying to reconnect with her. And I do wonder, we don't get to exactly to know because we're not in Ghostblade's head, but I wonder if being around little Johnny, even though little Johnny like pesters the shit out of him and he doesn't like him, if he's like, this is Shang's son. And Shang did beg Ghostblade not to hurt his son as he was dying. So it's like, is he thinking, you know, if I kill this kid, would it be like somebody coming to kill No-No? Because he hesitates a lot. He hesitates a lot. And for an assassin that's heartless, he hesitates quite a bit. And I'm like, is he having second thoughts? Is he not wanting to do the mission? There's a big question with that, you know? So inside the spaceship, we find out that the damage is pretty severe. And it could collapse a second time. That's not... It says unable to withstand TNT-type explosions. Well... That's concerning. That's concerning indeed. Because you have Lo Li, who's a loose cannon. You have Isol, who's a loose cannon. They could perform acts that feel very explosive. That's not good. And then you have Big Johnny, who literally becomes a giant kaiju. So all three of those things could cause a collapse inside the spaceship that could kill several people. The spaceship's built from unknown metals. The deeper we go, the stronger the interference. So we need the extraction zone prepared at the test site. Yep. So if any situation arrives, then report it immediately. So I want to look here. He said on here, he had this laptop. What was he getting at? It said transfer complete, 100%. So, and then he just pulled the damn flash drive out. Never do that. Eject it first, sir. Or what kind of scientist are you? But I'm like, he was copying all of these files or transferring. So is he going to give the flash drive to No-No or to Lo Li with all of the documentation that he's been copying in case? Did he suspect something might have gone down and he might not get out alive? And he's like, I'm going to have a copy on me just in case. We'll see. Because I'm sure he's like, no matter what, we must succeed in this mission. Yep. And then the flash drive has the little lion on it. Just like Lo Li's hat. If something happens and he dies, she's going to get that flash drive. I guarantee it. And she's going to figure out what's going on. So, yeah. So, I mean, could we call BS on the fact that she brought all of that with her? We could. But you know what? I'm going to let it slide. I'm going to let it slide because you know what? That transport had lots of room for equipment and everything. It's fine. And plus, her suit probably expands and does all this like technological BS. I'll let it go. She's like, look at the results of my upgrade. She's like, I added super glue to ensnare opponents. Now, the super glue, that's probably going to come in handy. So we're going to put super glue on here. That's probably going to be used in the next episode. And she said, and the charger on the back has been enhanced, so it can transport raw materials. So she can basically carry things for longer periods, which may be used in the next episode. We will see. And I love the idea that the professor's like, okay, if something happens to me, like I feel like in this moment, he was like, if something happens to me, my daughter's going to be okay. She's going to be a better scientist than I am. I just got to keep her safe during this mission. And she's like, well, of course, the student must surpass the teacher. And he's like, you know, we have a situation. So what? He basically is like, I'm going to keep you on the outside to gather all the materials. And she does look really cute there. I see where people get it, where she's just like, yes. What do you need me to do? And he's like, I need you to stay out here and monitor. And she's like, what? A simple task. Consider it done. That's so cute. I love that. I love that so much. Again, death flags. But I love it. And then she's like, I'm going to be stuck here the whole time. She's like, why did you pick me? And he's like, well, there could be another assault. And she's like, well, whoever comes, I'm going to fight them. And he's like, I need you to do this. Just trust me on this. He doesn't want her to get hurt, right? As long as I'm wearing this armor, I'm not afraid of fear or trust. And I feel like at that moment, he's okay with her if something happens because her armor is going to be able to fight back against anything that's using trust or fear values, which could be Ghostblade because he's been hit by the fear, could be Ghostblade, could be Nice, could be Isol. Like, girl's got a suit of armor that could handle anything. Like, her and Big Johnny team up, they could be good to go. But I feel like the professor's like, okay, she's going to be fine. If something happens, we've got it covered. I did love this conversation, though, and I feel like No-No has reconnected with her dad, even though she's not saying anything about it. And so she's trying to, like, and she gets now with Ghostblade why he didn't want her to know. Because, she said it makes sense. She's told everybody her dad is dead. So if she just came out and said, hey, Dad, to Ghostblade, he'd be like, how'd you find out? And he might bolt. So she's like, I don't want that to happen. So she's just kind of playing it by ear and flying under the radar with treating him better so she can try to, like, get to know him. But in this moment, she kind of, like, wants to let Loli know, like, I know that you're frustrated, but your dad's trying to protect you like my dad was protecting me. And so he's doing it because he loves you. You should be considerate of your dad's intentions. In his eyes, you're a child, which is so crazy because in Ghostblade's eyes, No-No is a child. So there's that connection there. She's like, I used to be like that too. No one had acknowledged me. And I kept working harder and pushing myself. And I never gave up. And then I finally met another person on this path. In this moment, she looks a lot like Ghostblade. Like her eyes, her hair, so much. And then she talks about meeting Loli. Just this person who, is by my side and is really amazing. Becoming friends with you is the luckiest thing to have happened in my life. And then she gave her the little kiss. Like, show? You give us this eerie moment. You give us this adorableness. Don't you take this away from us. Don't you take this away, Ricky Bobby. Lee Howlin, do not take this away. Don't do that to us. Do not do that to us. This was adorable. And so, yeah. And that's when Loli gives her the pin so she can track her. We'll see. Which comes in handy because that's how Loli finds her. So going in there, they're like, there's no sign of biological life. Meaning that anything in the spaceship is likely to have already left, or is gone, or has died. But curiouser and curiouser, the Big Johnny taking them down into this. This could even change the course of history. Well, this seems like it's going to, but the crazy thing is, 2 years later, everything still seems the same. So how is it changing the course of history? That's what we've got to find out. So yeah, Big Johnny takes Little Johnny away. Ghostblade goes off to join them. In this moment, though, they're like, No-No and I will check around the situation here. There's this moment where Ghostblade looks at her as if to say, like, she has to be safe, and I want to keep her safe. And then he goes after Little Johnny. And again, I wonder if he was making the connection that No-No is his child, just like Little Johnny was Shang's. And Shang didn't want anything to happen to his child. So if Ghostblade feels the same sentiment, is it right for him to kill Little Johnny? I just feel like he has so much emotion in his eyes as he's going through all of these scenes. I feel like he is contemplating that, even though we don't, as the audience, get to hear his internal monologue. So meanwhile, Big Johnny is trying to find the room that Shang found him in. Ghostblade's got this ominous knife following him around. And then that's when No-No's like, hey, couldn't help you talking about changing the course of history earlier, Professor. Want to expand upon that? Tell me what you were saying in that moment. And he said, would that really be a better place if history did change? And so Professor Lowe, he knows too much. That's why he's going to have to go. Because he's like, be it trust or fear, things currently change depending on subjective judgments, which we talked about last week. And people's nature often cannot withstand challenges. And tragedies like Zero will happen again and again. So we don't know what zero is. We don't understand what zero is. Everybody has kept talking about it. The older people especially have some kind of knowledge of what zero is, which I'm assuming is when all of this started with the Hero Commission. Like that was year zero. I'm assuming that's the case. But tragedies like zero, this is the first time it's really being directly referenced as such. So I guess we're going to find out maybe. Because Nono doesn't question him. Using objective and rational science to control these powers would cause long-term peace to be brought to the world. Yeah, so here's the thing. You're not wrong, Professor Lowe. If we all thought objectively and used rational and scientific means to explore these concepts, then yes, we would not be driven by subjective things like fear and trust, and we could have a utopia. But unfortunately, humans are dumb. And humans are not going to let that happen. So even scientists that have the best of intentions can run awry and be corrupted. Even Liu seemed to have good intentions. He got corrupted into the Spotlight organization. Everyone else that has been in the series has found some means of corruption. And so, yeah, it sounds all fine and dandy for that, but like, is it realistic at all? So then he's like, what does that sound? She's like, oh, Loli said it was for me, but why is it? He's like, it's not just noise. It sounds like an alert. So I'm guessing did Nice, and that's when he sees Nice. So I'm guessing Nice flew past her, and maybe Loli didn't understand who it was at first, so she just ran after him, but acknowledged the signal to let them know he was coming. So yeah, Big Johnny's trying to find a way to get where Shang had originally found him, which is crazy that Shang was there to begin with. And then we have the thing of Ghostblade about to kill him. So yeah, so Uncle Rock's the worst. Uncle Rock, Mickey, Mr. Shang, they are all the worst of all time. Because he's like, do you remember Shang from 17 years ago? And Ghostblade's like, well, unfortunately, thanks to my neurodivergency, yes, I do. He's like, he ignored ethics and used his own powers to research and breed man-made life. What? So, according to Uncle Rock, Shang violated like the ethics of turning in commission reports on time and used his powers to research. So he thinks that Shang made Big Johnny. That's his assumption, I believe. I think he assumes that Shang used his powers to create Big Johnny, which is this monster. That would explain my question from last week as to why the commission isn't thinking that Big Johnny is an alien, but I guess. Or is he suggesting that little Johnny was like a petri dish baby that he created? Like, what? He bred man-made life. So he also defeated Vortex, the ex at the time. Did he? So I'm so curious because Hero Vortex, the ex at the time, I don't think Shang was dead by the time that Vortex came back around and was throttled by Big Johnny. So what is he talking about? What is Uncle Rock talking about? If he's thinking that Shang bred and made Big Johnny, he's wrong. He's an alien he found in a ship. If he says that he defeated Hero Vortex, the ex at the time, I don't think he did unless that is... I mean, if he did defeat Hero Vortex and then just left, I guess that would explain why Vortex would be so mad, but you think that would have been publicized more. Luckily, you ended him before he could cause any greater trouble. So, he's suggesting that when Shang defeated Vortex and then ran off? Uncle Rock is making some statements that I'm like, sir, what timeline are you following? Because it's not exactly the same as ours, I don't think. That's crazy. But unfortunately, Shang taught his child how to tame this monster. So he says he even became a hero in the hearts of these mommy fans. I guess mommy fans, are they like women that look down to little Johnny as like their kid or something, and they're like, oh, he's so cute, or like they like kawaii things. I don't know what the Chinese word for kawaii is. This is the only mission you did not finish completely. So he's like, we told you to take care of Shang's family. His wife was already dead, convenient. So you didn't do it. So now you have to kill off little Johnny to finish the job. But I'm like, if they're assuming that Big Johnny was made by Shang, that's crazy. Attempts to rescue Hero Vortex failed. Mysterious boy miraculously tames. So I'm like, okay. I guess that's when Big Johnny fought against Hero Vortex. This will be an opportunity like no other to nip the bud you left 17 years ago. Accidents are unavoidable on the survey mission, let alone the ones that only the higher commission-ups know about. Someone will naturally be busy wiping some asses. Uncle Rock is the worst. I hate him. I don't like him at all. I almost, like, who do you hate more? Mickey, Mr. Shang, or Rock? Like, Mr. Shang, he's, like, gone off the deep end, but he's still mysterious, so I can't judge him too much. And he lost his son, so I kind of feel a little twinge of sympathy, but he's definitely corrupt. Definitely not doing nice things, so that's bad. Mickey is like the sleaziest slug. Mickey is a slug, and he's disgusting. But like, he's at least like has that fun kind of villain vibe to him. He's like twirling a martini glass villainously. He's actually done that in this show. Him and Liu were swirling villainous martini glasses together before he even knew he was the leader of the Spotlight Corporation. Oh my gosh. But Uncle Rock is just a bitch, and I don't like him. He's a bastard. I'm like, so no. I think Uncle Rock might be my least favorite of the three. Like, I just, So he leaves Ghost Blade to take care of Little Johnny and Big Johnny as the assassination mission. And I'm like, that's 2 for 1? Really? Really? And so he'd been sent to do that. But then that's when Big Johnny, like, opened it up, the passageway, and went down to where Shang had found him. Deep, deep, deep within the ship. He's like, I didn't imagine there'd be such a big space here. I don't know how Shang got down to this. I really don't. But yeah, so there's all these pods, and some of them are broken out of. So Big Johnny's like, and this is where my friend was. Yeah, he's like, are these hibernation pods? Yeah. And so he's like, what if there were still live aliens in these hibernation pods when the spaceship crashed? Well, if they got out and they've been on Earth for almost 40 years, lots of things could have happened between now and then. Lots of things could have happened, little Johnny. You're thinking more about that than the fact that Ghostblade's your dad's murderer. And so then, when he's like, oh, Ghostblade, you, that's when... And honestly, when he's like, I think that little Johnny was trying to warn Ghostblade about Esol. If Esol had stayed hidden for like 2 more seconds, Ghost Johnny would have found out that Ghostblade was the murderer of his father. But Esol, in true fashion, coming in with another L. We're going to save it for the Calamity Corner. So, we're going to save it for the Calamity Corner. But... Esol, I thought little Johnny was going to have an assassination attempt upon him by Ghostblade in this episode. I thought that was going to be the case. I feel as if little Johnny's still alive, though. I don't know why I think that, but I feel like he is. Sorry, I thought I had a tick on me, and I was like, ah! So I had to step out for a second. Anyway, so, oh my god. I did not have Esol showing up on my bingo card at all in this. But yeah, they're like, you're Esol. Why are you here? And it's the younger Esol, if there was any question. I mean, he's merged with the old Esol, but old Esol would not do this. For the record. Just FYI. But damn. So then Ghostblade's like, I feel like Ghostblade is a terrible matchup with Esol because his knives attract and conduct electricity. So I feel like they are terrible. They're a terrible weapon to use against Esol because they're just mismatched. It's very poor Ghostblade's knives would be conducting the electricity. It's not a good matchup at all. And then frickin' Big Johnny gets strapped up against the side of the wall and looks incredibly adorable while strapped up against the wall. And Ghostblade's like, well, shit, that guy could have helped us, but this is a problem. So, yeah, Ghostblade versus Isol is not the matchup I ever thought I would see in this series, but I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at it. I'm like, okay, this seems, now that I'm seeing it, it seems like it was always meant to be. Meanwhile, I also think it's relevant that we get to see Ghostblade's eyes the entire fight, and we see the emotion that are in them, and Isol constantly is wearing a mask, so Young Chong, we can't see any emotion coming out from him at all. And so Uncle Rock says, I've never seen Ghostblade volunteer. Something must be amiss. The thing that Uncle Rock is so wrong on every front. He's wrong about all these things. He thinks that Ghostblade is double-crossing him, when no, all it is that Ghostblade is trying to reconnect with his daughter, you dumbass. It's like, ugh. He's like, he very likely knows that the creature called Big Johnny was brought out of the spaceship by Shang. So here's the thing. I guess maybe Uncle Rock is reporting false timelines to people, so it seems like he doesn't know, or he's telling lies to convince Ghostblade to do things, because we find out that he does know. He does know that Big Johnny is an alien. Okay. This kind of goes back to my Calamity Corner with last episode. Why ain't none of y'all done anything about this big-ass alien? I guess they're just worried that he would cause a ruckus, and he is able to counter all the heroes, so, and their trust values, so they're like, well, we'll just leave little Johnny in charge of him, and then nobody will get, we won't ruffle any feathers that way, right? But and that's the case. There's some hidden story from the time that he was sent to get rid of Shang. No, there's no hidden story. You are wrong in that. So our cooperation with the commission comes with an end here. And then Isol volunteers. He's like, well, we could just kill Ghostblade. Okay. He's like, we'll just kill Ghostblade. That way I'll have one fewer opponent in the hero rankings. Oh, well, that's great. Good to know that that's where your heart is, Isol. Good to know about that. So, yeah. They battle it out. Little Johnny coming in to help Ghostblade, the man that killed his father. It's Shakespearean at this point. It's just so much symbolism in all this. But the hatchet still has metal on it, still conducts electricity, still not the greatest thing ever. And Ghostblade's like, this sucks. I'm honestly worried that Ghostblade and Professor Lowe might have, death flags on them. Will we get to have our Yuri, but at what cost? At the cost of these two women losing their fathers? We very well could. Look, the moment Ghostblade got sudden backstory a few episodes ago, I was like, I'm glad that we're getting Ghostblade backstory, but his backstory does lend me to believe that he could die in this as well. So, Ghostblade could die, Professor Lowe could die, Loli and Nauno could die. I don't think little Johnny will, because the show's going to keep him around to suffer even more sadness. So, there's so much that could happen. I'm like, So then Nice appears, and he's like, nice, the fudge? He shows up. Also, gonna point out, the little talisman that's on Nice's armor, there in the center, looks like the eye of the spaceship. Just pointing it out there. Just throwing that out there. And they're like, did the commission send him to support us? And the professor's like, I didn't hear of such arrangements. And then Nice says, can you tell me the position of the other members? They might be in danger very soon. And he's like, what do you mean danger? He says, well, once I'm done with you, I'll be on my way to kill all of them. So I'm like, what? How? So a part of me is like, is this the same Nice? Is this the same Nice that was with Rek, that was with Moon, that committed suicide? Is this the same guy? Or has Mr. Shang been making Nice clones? I'm so intrigued, and I'm so curious, because this Nice is acting very villainous, very different from the Nice that we've seen in any other depiction. So what the fudge? And so he's going to attack both of them, and that's when Lo Li's like, actually, let's not. I love that the dad is, like, shocked and scared that Lo Li is on the scene because her life is in danger now. And Nono's like, hell yeah. And then, yeah, this was great. I loved this. I love she's like, such a soft, weak punch. You don't deserve to be a hero. Ah! I freaking love Lo Li. Love her. That was so badass. Good for her. Love that. So, this is chaos. Absolute chaos. Oh my god. Okay, so real quick, my Calamity Corner is not a nitpick with the show. It's just with the character. So I'm just gonna, like, just vent for a hot second and pose my very hot take, because I'm sure that most of the fandom do not agree with me, but I'm like, y'all, pieces of the fandom have issues with Lo Li, but y'all like Isol? I was like, OG Isol fascinated me because he was so mysterious, and there seemed to be like this kind of Batman Dark Knight brooding. There was something under the surface that wasn't getting explained. Like, it was really intriguing, and it made me want to kind of know, like, why was he the way that he was? And with Yan Chung, it's just kind of like he just drank the Darth Vader Kool-Aid and decided to just be a villain. And I'm like, that's it? I don't find him compelling. Like, once he merges with Isol and becomes the new Isol and just decides to go gung-ho and commit to, I'm going to be Batty McBatterson because I have no hope in life, I'm kind of like, that's kind of boring. So I don't care for him. I don't care for Isol at all. If his whole agenda is just, I've given up on life and hope, and I'm just going to be trying to be the top-ranked hero, okay? I'm just like, at this point, DJ Shindig has a more compelling story than this character. But that's my only complaint. I'm sure a lot in the fandom are like just fapping over Isol all the time. I am not. I am not gooning for Isol anytime soon. I find him kind of boring at this point because I'm like, and that's harsh to say. Boring is harsh to say. But I just don't find him compelling. I'm just like, you're just evil to be evil? At least Mickey has, like, some layers and nuance of his slimy greasiness, you know? But that's my only Calamity Corner. I'm just gonna put that over here. That's just gonna, don't tell the Isol fans. I don't want to be crucified by the Isol fans. But anyway, this episode was bonkers, and the last half of it just went up to an 11, and I need to make sure that it keeps up this momentum, so I'm going to be very excited to see episode 20. I'm going to tell you all right now, I do not guarantee that I'm going to be able to wait. I don't know. This has got me on the edge of my seat, so we'll just have to see. So anyway, I am excited to hear your comments down below. I hope you all enjoyed this reaction and discussion. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and it's going to be wild next week, and we're just going to have to see what happens with episode 20. Of To Be Hero X, and I'll see you all then.